Hello, sixth graders. We are in our Intro to Algebra unit. Today we are looking at solving two-step equations. Our learning target, I can solve two-step equations. Okay, something to think about here for you. Think about what is the ultimate goal in solving equations? What are we trying to do? And how can knowing how to solve a one-step equation help you know how to solve a two-step? Okay, and we have these ones that we went through. So like x minus 4 equals negative 6. How did we solve that? 2x equals 12, how did we solve that? And then how do we put that together? If we have 3x minus 5 equals 13, how do we use what we already know to figure out solving two steps? Okay. So these are our steps that we had for one-step equations. Okay, write down the equation, draw your train tracks, isolate the variable. Sorry, actually this is supposed to be for two-step. Okay, so make sure you've got these written down. The first thing that you do is use the inverse operation to remove the constant from the variable. So the part that's like the addition or subtraction. Then isolate the variable by doing the inverse operation to remove the coefficient, the number that's right in front of the variable. So multiply or divide. Then solve for the variable, check your solution. So something to remember for this is SAD MEP. So this is the order that we use for solving equations. You do your order of operations backwards. So you start with your addition or your subtraction, then you do your division or multiplication. And if you had exponents or parentheses, you would go in that order. Okay, so we have 2x plus 3 equals 9. So starting with our train tracks, go down the equal sign. SAD MEP, let's remember that. So start with the addition and the subtraction. So the constant, the plus 3, we have to get rid of that part first. And we do that by subtracting 3 from both sides, so minus 3. Now we need to rewrite the equation. So now we have 2x equals 9 minus 3 is 6. Now we do our multiplication and division. So now we are going to divide both sides by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so x equals 3. Now when we do our check, plug that back into the equation. 2 times 3 plus 3. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 3 does equal 9. So our answer of x equals 3 is correct. All right, so now here's some for you to try on your own. So 2x plus 4 equals 10 train tracks. So we start with that plus 4 that we have to get rid of, so we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Now we rewrite our equation as 2x equals 10 minus 4 is 6. Now we have 2x equals 6, and we know that the opposite of multiplication is division, so we are going to divide both sides by 2. X equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we're going to now check and see if that's correct. Plug that back in for x. So 2 times 3 plus 4. Well, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 4 equals 10. So that is true. That did work. So our answer, x equals 10. Next one, 3x plus 1 equals 7. Train tracks. Starting with that plus 1 that we have to get rid of. Opposite of addition is subtraction, so we are going to subtract 1 from both sides. And then we are left with 3x equals 7 minus 1 is 6. Now, opposite of multiplication, we're going to divide both sides by 3. And so we have x equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now let's plug that in for our check, see if that's correct. 3 times 2 plus 1. Well, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7, so that does work. X equals 2. Last one, train tracks. So now we have this plus 2 we have to get rid of. To do that, we are going to subtract both sides by 2, and then we are left with 3x equals, well, 5 minus 2 is 3. Divide both sides by 3, and then we are left with x equals 3 divided by 3 is 1. Now let's check to see if that's true. 2 plus 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. So x equals 1. Okay, study tip for you to write down over here. Order of operations. Multiplication comes before addition in the regular order of operations. But in order to undo these, you need to reverse the order. So you would undo the addition or subtraction first, then undo multiplication by dividing. So that's that SADMAP we were talking about. Okay, let's keep practicing. 3x plus 2 equals 23. Train tracks. If we are adding 2, we do the opposite, which is subtract 2 from both sides. We are left with 3x equals 21. Now we're going to divide both sides by 3. So x equals 7. Now let's check our solution. 3 times 7 plus 2. Well, 3 times 7 is 21 plus 2 is 23. That is what we needed to get back. So x equals 7. And now I wrote over here and I can't see. Okay, next one. Train tracks. We have to get rid of a minus 7. In order to do that, we are going to add 7 to both sides. So we have negative 2y equals 10. So 3 plus 7 is 10. Now undo multiplication by dividing both sides by negative 2. And y equals, well, 10 divided by negative 2. Positive divided by negative is a negative. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Let's plug that in to check. Negative 2 times negative 5 minus 7. Well, negative 2 times negative 10, negative 2 times negative 5 would be a positive 10 minus 7 equals 3. So that's what we needed. So y equals negative 5. Okay, more examples. Let's just keep practicing. Train tracks. Subtract 4 from both sides. 5r equals, well, negative 11 minus 4, we would chop minus. So now negative 11 plus negative 4 would be a negative 15. Divide both sides by 5. R would equal a negative 3. Plug that in to check. 4 plus 5 times negative 3 would be 4 plus negative 15. Positive and negative subtract them, more negative, so we would have negative 11. 4x plus 5 equals 13. Train tracks. Start with your addition and subtraction, so we are going to subtract 5 from both sides. 4x equals 13 minus 5 is 8. Divide both sides by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. In order to check, 4. All right, sorry, my stylus died here. So apparently we just can't write down there. Okay, I'm gonna write up here. No, we're just, okay. 4 times 2 plus 5. Well, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 5 equals 13, so that works. X equals 2. All right, train tracks. 8y plus 15 equals 71. Start with our subtraction. We're going to subtract 15 from both sides. So we are left with 8y equals, regroup. 11 minus 5 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. 56. We're going to now divide both sides by 8. Y equals 56 divided by 8 is 7. Now let's plug that in to check. 8 times 7 plus 15. Well, 8 times 7 is 56. 56 plus 15 equals 71. So y equals 7. Train tracks. Now, negative 3n minus 8 equals 7. First thing we have to undo is the minus 8, so we're going to add 8 to both sides. Negative 3n equals 7 plus 8 is 15. Divide both sides by a negative 3. N equals 15 divided by negative 3 would be a negative 5. In order to check, negative 3 times negative 5 minus 8. So that would be negative 3 times negative 15, or negative 5 would be a positive 15 minus 8 equals 7. So n equals negative 5. Okay, key concept to remember when solving two-step equations. To solve a two-step equation like the ones we have here, you undo the addition and subtraction first, then undo the multiplication and division. Okay, a couple more examples for you to try. Train tracks, get rid of the +8 by subtracting 8 from both sides. Then we have -5s equals, well, -2, I'm going to solve this up here, -2 minus 8, chop minus. So you are left with -10. Divide both sides by -5. Integer rules tell me a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now we need to check our answer. So we're going to plug 2 back in. -5 times 2 plus 8. So -5 times 2 is -10. Plus 8 would be a -2. That works. So S equals 2. All right, 1 plus 2y equals -3. Train tracks, got to get rid of that 1, so we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. So then we have 2y equals a -3 minus 1, chop minus, so a negative plus a negative becomes more negative, -4. Divide both sides by 2, y equals -4 divided by 2 is a -2. To check, 1 plus 2 times -2. So that would be 1 plus -4, which would equal -3. Last one, train tracks. To get rid of this adding a -2, I'm just going to add a +2 to both sides. So I'm left with 6w equals 12. Divide both sides by 6. So we are left with w equals 2. Plug that in to check. -2 plus 6 times 2. -2 plus 12 would equal 10. So w equals 2. Okay, that is all for solving two-step equations. Make sure you have all of those examples in your notebook. If you're so confused, go back and rewatch. Come with questions tomorrow.